The war in Mexico. Welcome back. Today, I'll bring you a weekly news from July 8th to today, July 14th. Today, we will talk about the new boss from CJNG, 8 unalived bodies that were found in Chiapas, and a message that was left threatening dealers of crystal in that area. Talking about the former mayor of Fresnillo was found unalived in Guadalajara, Jalisco. Narcotics were seized in raids and they burned them. We have some pictures of them. And then yesterday, on Monday, that happened yesterday, the raids. And another news from yesterday is that gunman unalive 3 people on a wake in Michoacan. Very tragic. Imagine you're just, doing that, taking care of your loved ones, and then they pull up on you doing that type of stuff. Okay. First news, this comes all the way from July 8th, 2026. All of these news are coming from Borderland B. Okay, just reading them out. We're talking about the new boss of CJNG. Okay. The new boss of CJNG is Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez. He was born on September 12, 1984 in Santa Ana, California. Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez, also known as Pelón, Triqui 3, O3, El 3, JP, and Pelacas, is the son of Armando Valencia Cornelio, also known as El Maradona or El Juanito, and Rosalinda González Valencia. Following the death of his stepfather, Nemesio Oseguera González El Mencho, he became the first American national to assume full control of a Mexican cartel. That's crazy. He has a lot of nicknames too. He spent his early childhood in California, while his biological parents, Armando Valencia Cornelio and Rosalinda González Valencia, managed the logistics of the Milenio cartel. After his biological father was arrested by the Mexican military in 2003, his mother married the CJNG leader, Nemesio Rubén Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, making him Valencia González's stepfather. Valencia González was raised alongside his cousin and half-siblings in the Guadalajara metropolitan area under the protection of the González Valencia family network, also known as Los Queenies. On July 20, 2020, during a press conference hosted by Mexican President López Obrador, Secretary of Defense Luis Crescencio Sandoval González identified one of the leaders of Grupo Élite as Juan Carlos González, alias El R3. On December 1st, 2021, the U.S. Department of State announced a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to his arrest and conviction for manufacturing, transporting, and distributing large quantities of narcotics, as well as for organizing numerous of violent crimes. Now, where is the CJNG right now? CJNG uses a franchise-based command structure and affiliation agreement between smaller local cartels and the CJNG to facilitate the expansion outside its strongholds in Jalisco, Nayarit, and Colima. CJNG is one of Mexico's most powerful, influential, and ruthless criminal organizations and a key supplier of illicit fentanyl to the United States. CJNG has expanded its operations beyond the Mexican borders, establishing presence in more than 40 countries. That's crazy, 40 countries. They have been in Africa too. The CJNG leadership succession became publicly clearer after the first official U.S. intelligence assessment identified the organization's new leadership. The new heir takes the crown. In June 2026, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, publicly identified Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez as the overall leader of the CJNG, with regional commanders overseeing the organization's day-to-day operations under his authority. It is also worth noting that the reports identified Julio Alberto Castillo Rodriguez, also known as El Chorro, as the CJNG's second-in-command, senior lieutenant and Oseguera's son-in-law, placing the CJNG within the old-school model, in which leadership remains within the family rather than passing to former lieutenants. After the arrest of El Jardinero during the detention, plagued with inconsistencies, none of his bodyguards opened fire on the security forces and appeared to allow him to be arrested by the Mexican security authorities. Isn't that weird? This action fully consolidated the position of El 03 on the throne of the CJNG, and with no other key figure inside the criminal organization capable of fighting for control, it seems that at least for now the full control of the CJNG is under El 03, Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez is the new leader of the CJNG. And I said it, his arrest is weird. El Jardinero's bodyguards did not defend him when he was a leader of CJNG. Did Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez tell his bodyguards to let the police do their job this time? And that's why maybe he's the new boss of CJNG. He didn't want to split the leadership. We don't know. But as of now, Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez, also known as El 03, is the new CJNG boss, and he's an American-born citizen. Okay, we're moving on. We have 8 unalived bodies were left with a message in El Bosque, Chiapas. 8 corpses were found Tuesday morning besides the federal highway to Jitlotla in El Bosque municipality with the Narco message threatening all distributors, manufacturers, and dealers of meth. The corpses with signs of tortures were found off the Jitotol La Cumbre federal highway on Tuesday morning. The message stated the following: "This will happen to all the distributors, manufacturers, and dealers of crystal meth." And whoever left those bodies also left methamphetamine dumped over them. It's ironic that sometimes this other cartels target people that sell the same stuff that they do. Okay. In other news, on July 10th, the former mayor of Fresnillo, Zacatecas, was gunned down in Guadalajara, Jalisco. Benjamin Medrano Quesada, former mayor of Fresnillo and former federal deputy, was murdered during an armed attack in the Santa Elena de la Cruz neighborhood of Guadalajara, Jalisco on July 7th. According to the Informador, Quesada was inside a palateria on the evening of July 7th when a lone gunman wearing a motorcycle helmet entered and shot him in the head before fleeing on a motorcycle. Quesada died at the scene. Quesada was not reported as the victim for 2 days, as he was not carrying an identification on him. Quesada served as mayor of Fresnillo, Zacatecas from 2013 to 2016, becoming the first openly gay man elected to the position in Mexico. He previously served as a federal deputy and built a successful parallel career as a regional Mexican music performer, which helped sustain his strong public profile across politics and entertainment. Following his tenure as mayor, he was subject of a corruption investigation, with state authorities accusing him of embezzling 60 million pesos, 3.5 million US dollars, were taken from funds from the Feria Nacional de Zacatecas. An arrest warrant was issued and Quesada went on the run, claiming political persecution. The case was never settled because he was unalived. Quesada is a very, very interesting man. You know, he was gay. He was also ruthless because he was a corrupt guy. Okay, this happened yesterday. We're talking about news from yesterday, and we're up to date. So let's move on to the final two news that we have. Narcotics seized in raids, and they were incinerated. The State Attorney General Office destroyed by incineration various narcotics seized during operations related to 64 single investigation files. The destruction was carried out under the supervision of the Public Prosecutor Office and forensic experts, with the following quantities recorded: 3,000 grams of marijuana, 300 grams of methamphetamine, and 16 grams of cocaine. Throughout the coordinated actions among law enforcement agencies at all three levels of government, the FGJE reaffirms its commitment to removing illicit substances from circulating, strengthening the administration of justice, and contributing to the creation of a safer Zacatecas, they stated in a press release. The FGJE is the State Attorney General Office, by the way. I forgot to say that. You have these pictures of them destroying around 3,500 grams of drugs. Not a lot. And there's plenty of more. Let's move on to the final news. This happened yesterday, July 13, 2026. Gunmen killed 3 people and injured 4 others when they attacked a wake of a man who was killed 3 days before in the town of Tistimeo, Michoacan. The most recent attack occurred on Saturday when armed men stormed into the home where family and friends were holding a wake for Daniel, a man visiting from Arizona who had been murdered days earlier when gunmen stormed into his home. According to neighbors, he was a mechanic in Arizona, United States, and his wife and daughter were injured during the attack. Authorities launched a search effort seeking those responsible for both attacks but were unable to find the ones responsible. 2 abandoned vehicles allegedly used by the gunman were recovered. Poor man. He went back to Mexico. He was either an immigrant and went back to Mexico from Arizona and just, death was waiting on him, or he was an American citizen visiting his family in Michoacan. A lot of Americans go down there, very dangerous place, and then they never come back. A lot of them, they never get talked about in the news because they're not blonde and have blue eyes, so they don't get talked about it. Or they just look Mexican, right? They're straight up Mexican. They just have an American paper. It's not the same, I think, or they don't act the same as they should. But truly tragic that happened. Even at the wake, they still come at him. They had something on him probably because that's a very, very targeted attack. But that's the news for today, guys. Thank you for watching. This is The War in Mexico. Check out stories from Mexico as well. We're getting big. We're going big. Let's get it.